The following is a special presentation of the PDF Sports Network.
Yes, good morning. Way too early with Patt. Good morning, all. Good morning. Good morning to all of my New England folks. Good morning to all my Jersey, South Jersey, Pennsylvania people. Yes, indeed. The football gods have spoken. The football gods blessed us yesterday with some fantastic football that we're going to talk about. Good morning. As I tap everybody in, good morning. Yes, indeed. Good morning. The music got it? Well, if the music got it, oh man. Good morning. Alexa, music off. The football gods blessed us. They truly have blessed us. What a football game yesterday. Lived up to its billing, in the building, this house of God. Big shout out my man Epps, by the way. Good morning, all. Good morning. So, we have a lot to talk about. We had playoffs in the NEAFL. We had playoffs in the ECFL with an upset that I called, by the way. The spread makers, which some of you folks doubted and didn't have faith in. The spread makers got it. The game of the year, regular season, Green Wave and Golden Lions, 5.5 point spread ended up being a 6-point game that went into overtime. Indeed. Good morning, all. The football guys have spoken. Hey, what's up? So let's get into it, shall we? I'll get to the comments in a second. Yes, indeed. All right, so let's talk about it. Now we have 3 undefeated teams in the region, and it goes a little something like this. The Green Wave, obviously, with the most impressive win yesterday as they took out the number 4 undefeated team, the Golden Lions, in overtime. Great game, and it wasn't a game where one team lost it. Both teams put it out on the line, and because they have 2 weeks off, being the Memorial Day week, and both have secured a first-round bye, both teams get plenty of rest to go back at it again for a semifinal matchup. If both advance out of those semifinal matchups, we will see this blessed matchup again in the championship game. However, do not count anybody out because we had some upsets yesterday. Yes, we did. So the Crusaders, who we thought for a second may go donut on the year, ended up on a little bit of a streak, dare I say, one of the hotter teams in minor league football in the area. They end up winning in overtime against the Dolphins. So now the Dolphins dropped to 3-4. There was playoff implications on the line, and the Crusaders played playoff football yesterday, literally playing for their lives, ended up going into, I believe, 5 overtimes and pulling out the victory. Big shout out, Spin Move was at the game. Check out the highlights from that. But that was an absolutely amazing game, and the Crusaders keep their playoff hopes alive, and we'll talk some tie breakers in a few. Let me see if I got any comments. Oh, Lord Jesus, where's my vision on this thing? Boom. Okay. It's the blessed iPad. What up? Okay, so now we got the Bengals and the Kingston Lions. The Bengals were in a win-and-in situation. Didn't happen. Kingston Lions back. They got off the schneid, so to speak. If you don't know Yiddish, grab a book. Kingston Lions end up beating the Bengals and now send the Bengals into a situation where they need help in order to get in. And there's only one game left. and that is the Kingston Lions and the Hurricanes. Nah, bro. Pat, there's only one game left in the Big East, and that's the one that has all the playoff implications. So let's go right to it. I will get to the scenario right now. The last game of the year, which when you talk about Kingston Lions and Canes, there was a time in which nobody thought that this one would actually matter. However, because now with a Hurricanes loss to the Kingston Lions, the Canes, the Bengals, and the Crusaders all finish at 2-5. That's a three-way tiebreaker. Since they don't have a head-to-head across the board, it goes to the next tiebreaker. Now, I do have to confer with the commissioner. He was double checking. I believed that it was points allowed that we are going to. If it is points allowed that we are going to, then let's go over the numbers real quick. The Hurricanes have given up 102 points. The Bengals have given up 148 points. So now the Bengals are officially eliminated from playoff contention. I got a guest request. Send request. Okay. So hold on for 1 second. How do I have a guest request and then I can approve? Why am I? So it's really weird. I'm asked if I want to. It says unable to add a guest. So let me just add you. So go back out and come back in, and then I will add you on. Do not request. I'll request you, and then maybe we can figure it out that way. So the Bengals are officially eliminated because they gave up 148 points. The Hurricanes, who have one more game left, gave up 102 points. Oh, it joined. Cool. Hey, praise him. What up?
Oh man, Mr. Pat, how we doing, brother?
I am blessed. How are you, sir?
I am doing well, man. I am doing well. Had a great game yesterday. It was probably the best game I've played in a long time. And it was good football yesterday.
It was great
exactly
football.
what it needed to be. That game lived up exactly to what we said it was gonna be. We've seen the lives and we've seen everything going out. Yeah, Green Wave's gonna blow them out. 40 ball, they're gonna 40 smoke them. They ain't gonna do nothing. It was a whole different ball game than what they thought. But the Green Wave's a tough team. They were agile, adverse too, just like us. They had one more play. They had one more play better than us.
Yes, they did.
So, but we will see them again.
Round.
We will definitely see them again.
So we were just going over these playoff scenarios. The big dogs took care of business and took the show and took the stage as they should. We were going over the tiebreaker for that 6th seed. So now we have a three-way tie for the 6th seed between the Canes, the Bengals, and the Crusaders if the Hurricanes lose to the Kingston Lions. So now I believe, again, Commissioner was checking. I'm not sure if this is one of the bylaws that you guys changed, but I'm just saying, I wrote some pretty good bylaws and then people decide they want to change up things, I'm just saying. But you know what? His Holiness forgives everybody. Assalamu alaikum. That was probably sacrilegious. I apologize to all my Muslim brothers out there. So the Bengals, if we're going on points allowed, which is usually what leagues do, and this is the reason why, because one, if it goes points scored, then you are promoting people running up the score, and essentially you're going to destroy your league. We put 100 on somebody, boom, and then on top of it, by the way, we spoke about games that did not finish. We had some tap outs that happened, and then those teams get cheated out of the opportunity for those points. Sure. We had one team that actually forfeited a couple of games on the back end of the schedule. Those teams only get 6 forfeit points in terms of points scored, so they would get cheated as well. So the best thing that you could do is points allowed, in this humble man's opinion, obviously, because the best thing you could do is a donut. Even if it's a 2-0 donut is better than a 50-14 game.
Yeah.
So now, if it is points allowed, which I believe it is, but I could be wrong, disclaimer, Canes, Bengals, and Crusaders. If the Canes cannot get it done this week, if the Canes win, they're in. If the Canes can't get it done this week, though, the Canes go into a three-way tie. The Bengals have 148 points surrendered, so that puts them out. They have no mathematical chance, and they are officially eliminated. Alexa, play funeral music.
Here's a playlist you might like. Songs of Remembrance on Amazon Music.
Alexa, turn that shit off. All right, so the Bengals are officially eliminated because they surrendered too many points. The Canes have 102 points allowed. The Crusaders have 98 points allowed. 4 points. And the Canes obviously cannot have negative 4 points surrendered. So therefore, right now, if the Hurricanes lose, the Crusaders are in the playoffs.
Yep.
Canes win and they're in. What more can you ask for with a random game with teams that are on the lower end of the standings on a Memorial Day weekend, the last week of the season? What more can you ask for?
Listen, it's like I said, this year, honestly, it's been a good year. It's been a good year. You know, all the teams were, you know, from the start, you could have said matched up a little bit, but as it got towards the middle of the season, you've seen that, you know, teams started to push away. Obviously, we knew the top two were going to be the Lions and the Wave, but that bottom tier is anybody's grab, you know. And
now,
at
here's
the
the
end
thing.
of the day, all four of those teams have an opportunity to beat anybody on any given day.
I disagree with you, sir. I think there's 3 tiers to this thing. I think there's a middle tier to themselves, and I think there is a lower tier. And I think the lower tier is really competing.
Okay.
Right? So
I got you.
Yeah, so I'm moving towards, like, the Wolfpack are not in the same class as the Crusaders because the Wolfpack's only 2 losses were to the 2 top dogs.
Yep.
So you can't say it's well, obviously it's the Green Wave and the Golden Lions and then the rest, but I think putting them in the rest with the rest is not the best. I think that the Wolfpack are a different echelon. I think the Kingston Lions are a different echelon, even though they catfished us for a couple weeks. And I think, to tell you the truth, the Dolphins, I struggle with that. You can't lose to the Crusaders and be an upper echelon team. But you know what? I have faith in the Dolphins. I think the Dolphins are up there too. And then in the third category, in terms of being able to win consistently, struggling, Canes, Crusaders, Bengals. And that's not a bad way to have the bottom.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And the Dolphins are playing good at their second half of the end of the season. You know, Dolphins are playing very well the second half of the season. So, you know, they gave us a run for our money. You know, I don't sleep on any team, you know, especially these lower seed teams because they be the kryptonites to some of these bigger teams when it comes down to a game. So, but I feel like playoffs for the first round this weekend's going to be good. You know, then we come back for Memorial Weekend and then another round of playoffs for the second round, then the championship. This season turned out to shape out to be a good season, I think, overall, in my opinion. And that's basically everywhere across the leagues because the ECFL did pretty well this season. The NEAFL has done well this season.
Absolutely.
You know, so I think the culture of spring is starting to change a little bit. You know, the dynamic of spring is starting to change a little bit. You know,
I think the dynamic of semipro is starting to change because I think this can actually carry over into the summer and we could have the same vibes all year long.
100%.
I think
it's all the same players, Pat.
Indeed.
It's all the same players playing again. It's
Indeed.
just on different teams.
Absolutely. And when you looked at it, and if you watch the broadcast, make sure you check out HSG. Check the replay on the Golden Lions Green Wave game because it was a heck of a game. I was being asked a couple times, like, in terms of the team, that how familiar the teams are with each other. I said, well, they're not really familiar with each other as a team. They're not even really all that familiar with themselves as a team because there's been so many new pieces and movements and stuff like that. But they're all familiar with one another because whether it be playing on this team or that team or whatever,
Right.
they are familiar with individual players. It's just about who plays more as a team. Now, here's what I saw. I saw a Green Wave team that had at least a dozen players have very good games yesterday. Very good games.
Yeah.
I saw less players from the Golden Lions have great games. I saw a few have outstanding games. So when you were looking for an MVP yesterday, Larry Garcia had a hell of a game. Even the footballs that were not caught, like he put the ball in windows, and he was throwing on target. He was throwing on timing. Even when he was throwing into double and triple coverage, it wasn't even a pick because the ball was exactly where it needed to be. So I think Garcia had a hell of a game. He would have been MVP candidate. I think, oh my goodness, Rocket, number 12, he had a hell of a game. Absolutely 100%. Even the Docteur, absent the fumble. But again, I'm going to be honest with you. The way that hook came in and grabbed that ball, there's very few people on this level that could have withstood that. Tyreek Noble had a hell of a game, by the way. But I think that the Green Wave had just a bunch of players that you were like, well, I can't give him player of the game, but he had an amazing game. Toon, number 21 from the Green Wave, Toon had a hell of a game. Stat-wise, if you're not looking at the game, you would be like, oh, Toon didn't have, what are we talking about Toon for? Like the stats. No, he was breaking up passes. He prevented the big play from occurring. And let me tell you, against a sub-average or even average secondary, Larry Garcia would have thrown for like 300 yards yesterday. The secondary for the Green Wave stepped up and made plays. I saw Sadiq Nathaniel versus Zay, and Zay would have been an MVP candidate from yesterday because Zay had a hell of a game. And that chess match between the two of them, I was right in the action, like right on the sideline where they were battling. And when I tell you, it was a top-notch professional production. I appreciate
It was.
Indeed. So what do you guys have to get together in order to well, first of all, you got to get the semifinal handled. So now you're basically lining up against what would probably be a Wolfpack team if the Wolfpack can get past it. So what's your preparation for round one?
Well, Dave, honestly, my preparation is simple. Same thing we do every week. We play Lions football, we get to practice, and we handle our business. We study our film and go over the little things that we need to go over to make sure that we're on top of our game. My biggest thing with this team, and I've always told my team, it's not the talent that'll ever beat us. It's our mental. If we're not mentally prepared for games, that's where it's going to take a turn for us fast. Now, to say that we match up with any team in the league, I'm 100% sure we do. That just showed yesterday. We can play with anybody. But it's just a few little mental mistakes that Green Wave capitalized on. And as any smart football team would, they did what they had to do. They capitalized it and they finished the game. And shout out to Toon, because if he didn't stop that run back when Rocket was coming on that field goal return, it was over. We don't talk about what is, but that's just to talk about how good of a player Toon is himself.
Yes.
And I'm just giving credit to the player because he did, he saved his team. That play saved his team.
And because everybody's looking for the jet sweep, and those intangibles is what makes Toon the player that he is.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Absolutely.
In fact,
so shout out to him, though.
Yeah, my MVP from yesterday was the offensive line. It definitely was. But if I'm given another award, maybe like the unsung hero award, that again you wouldn't hear his name getting called, but you'd have to be field level in order to see it. Toon was the man yesterday. Indeed. Now I'm going to go over and shift to the ECFL yesterday. So if you want to stay aboard, you can. If not, you can sign off. Let me know. We talking ECFL.
I'm actually going to sign off, Dave, because I'm actually headed to the airport right now myself.
Baller. All right, dude. I'll holler at you later.
I'll talk to you later. Thanks for having me, brother.
Yes, sir. That's Kev. All right. So let's talk ECFL because, again, we want to be inclusive in this thing. Unlike the church, go figure. So yesterday we had two great games. The Falcons got tested They were up 14-6. Bulldogs got a late touchdown, unable to get the conversion to tie the thing up. So the Falcons advanced out of the semifinals 14-12. Now they moved up in the standings last week because of their performances being so dominant. Am I going to overreact? No, I'm not going to overreact because the Bulldogs in playoff mode, I think, came with some gusto. Huh? We showed yesterday we could play with anyone. It was 2-2. Yeah, I mean, okay, gotcha, Pat. What are the all right, so that sets up a championship matchup that is going to be pretty interesting. Cardinals versus Falcons. The spread. And by the way, those of you talking about the spread maker's been doing his thing, by the way. He's been doing his thing lately, just saying. Nobody's giving him credit, just putting it out there. Sacrilegious. Cardinals versus Falcons opens up as a 2.5-point spread. Falcons are favored by 2.5, the 1 seed and the 3 seed. So the Cardinals were able to go up to New Hampshire or Maine or wherever it is. Once you get past Massachusetts, you're pretty much in Canada. But whatever. They were able to score the upset. Warhawks end up taking the L. I said it. That the Cardinals are a bad matchup for the Warhawks. The Cardinals have too much speed for the Warhawks. Those New England guys. This is why the Cardinals are a very tough bunch, because they have the speed of the New York City area, the metro area, that we see with some of the top teams in New York. So if you want to really make a comparison to some of the teams down here, they are a very quick team. They're like a mixture of size on the line and speed at these skill positions. Very Harlem Gator like, if you will, dare I say. So the Cardinals will take on the Falcons. Don't be surprised. Love the Falcons all. Shout out to the Munozes and all that. I think I might be taking the Cardinals in an upset on this thing. They play big time ball at big time moments. Falcons, they got the scare this week, so maybe, just maybe, I mean, besides championship preparation being it's the championship, so you're gonna go out there with everybody. Everybody's gonna clear their schedules. If anybody's working their job, they're gonna quit their job. Everybody's gonna be there for the championship, 100%. So you're gonna see mano a mano. Cardinals' speed is what could possibly score the upset here. But we shall see. We got plenty of time to talk about that. Falcons, Cardinals, and Chips, Chargers, and Bruins, the bowl game. Are we going to talk about a Chargers Bruins bowl game? No disrespect, but yeah, let's move on. So that was the ECFL. So yeah, Chargers, big shout out, but the bowl game thing. I mean, once you're eliminated from the playoffs, okay, cool. That's cool, especially if it's a charity game. Cool. All right. Yeah, let's move on. NFL action. What we got? NFL action. Yesterday, we had Donut City. We had all shutouts in the playoffs for the NFL. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I don't even really know, to tell you the God's honest truth, because ordinarily it'd be a bad thing, because you would say like the top is dominating the bottom. Pause if needed. But we had 2 upsets. So the 2-3 seeds took out the 2 seeds, and both 3 seeds shut out the 4. Both 3 seeds shut out the 2 seeds. So the Owls, again, we keep on saying this, Lester Cream in playoff mode is a very dangerous man. He's a very bad man. And the Owls and the Tide end up with a 6-0 game, and the Owls end up advancing. So the Owls advance to take on the Militia. The Militia, the 1 seed, knocked out the Bullies 24-0. They pretty much did what they were supposed to do, and they are at this point played the Connecticut Falcons. Oh, okay. Cardinals faster than the Falcons. Yeah, okay. Malik, I mean, come on. I know you're. Come on. That's just my take. I could be wrong. Check it out. Can somebody tell me if that game is Memorial Day weekend, or do we have to wait a week for that. I do like the 2 weeks of hype going up to the championship game. So is that championship game going to be this upcoming week or next week? Please let me know. But I got time to change my mind. I don't have to lock in my bets yet. Dresses the Pope, locking in bets is pretty crazy too. So I'll drink to that. Got some holy water in here too. Nonetheless, so the Militia and the Owls. Militia opened up as a 12.5-point favorite. The over-under is 27.5. In the other upset, you had the Wolfpack traveling to the Panthers, and they beat them by a score of 26-0. That's pretty wild for a playoff score, with a lower seed beating a higher seed. Sorry, a higher seed being a lower seed, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, so that was pretty wild, 26-0. So 2 upsets. They will take on the Unit. The Unit also cruising yesterday, 28-0. And the Unit are playing really good football. So the Unit and the Wolfpack set up their semifinal. This is the National Conference Championship game. The Owls Militia is the American Conference Championship game, as they're separated into conferences. The Unit opened up as a 1-score favorite, 6.5 point favorite, 31.5 on the over/under. So again, talk about my spreads, but when they hit, and Cardinals going for a 3-peat. Indeed. So again, the Falcons guys are chatting. Okay, cool. I love this type of banter, by the way. Football banter that actually has to do with football and not people's mamas or what glizzies are cooking on the grill. You know what I mean? So praise him. So this week in the Big East, one more game, and again, all the playoff implications. Kingston Lions and Canes. I explained to you the mathematics behind that if the Canes end up losing, it ends up with a 3-way tie. Pardon. A 3-way tie for the 6th seed, and the Bengals, which who are now eliminated, have way too many points allowed at 148, and the Canes have 102 points surrendered, which they can't go negative at this point. The Crusaders have 98 points surrendered. And with the Crusaders with 98 points surrendered, 4 points better than the Canes. If the Canes lose, obviously somebody has to score. If they lose, the Kings and Lions have to score. If they lose, they can't go into negatives. So therefore, the Crusaders would be in the playoffs. Canes win, they're in. Canes lose, Crusaders are in. Very simply put. Again, I told you the why, but that's kind of the bottom line to it. So, what does that mean? Is that fair? And I know that this is the next thing that might come up, is the fairness of that. Fuck, this wasn't illegal. Let's see. Catch it. But it was the holy moly dump shot. It definitely was. So is this tiebreaker for 6, the 6th seed, is it fair? Well, yeah, because if you look at the Crusaders' schedule, especially the games, all their games counted toward the league standing, including their game with PD. So a lot of people are like, oh, that's crazy that you would agree to have that game count toward your league standings, when in fact that historically is a really tough team. However, in that game, I think it was like 8-6 was the final score. So PD, who has put 50 points on a lot of people, literally could have bumped the Crusaders out of the playoffs. But because the Crusaders hung tough and only gave up a single score, it absolutely worked out for them in the end. The Crusaders played the top dogs. So I'm good with it. And then in the playoffs, of course, everybody is 0-0. And that's the way the football gods wanted it. That's pretty much it for me. The best team. Let me see if there's anybody in the comments. Hold on. I do want to get one particular guest up in here. Ooh. I was going to call him out, but I'm not going to call him out. I am going to call him out. Where is he? Oh, he's not in here. Yeah. Somebody tag Randy in the comments, because Randy said something completely sacrilegious, if you will, yesterday. So I was on the sideline. Big shout out to HSG, Howard Gaber. Great job yesterday with the production. We had the on-field cam, we had the huddle cam going. Just absolutely awesome time. And after the touchdowns, I was trying to catch the celebration. Now, here's the thing: if I'm on the field and I got a camera and I'm showing you, bro, I got a camera, man, do what you gotta do. And for every single touchdown, I was right there. Whatever you was gonna do in terms of celebration, Pat was right there for it. And of course, I caught the Louis luggage celebration from the Golden Lions. And then Randy Anderson comes up to me and says, "Pat, you better have the Green Wave celebrations. Nah, we ain't gonna do this bias stuff. You better be right with us when we're celebrating." I said, "Yes, no problem. I was there. Check the footage, check the film. Anytime maybe it was in the end zone." So for the recap of the game of the week, Golden Lions get the ball first. This is what gets me, right? So Golden Lions get the ball first. They're driving. They come up with a fourth down. I say punt the ball. They're at midfield, punt the ball. Because the Green Wave offense is the most effective offense damn near in semi-pro history on first possessions of the game. We've seen them score literally on 3 plays, on 2 plays, like instantaneous offense as soon as they get the ball in every single game this year. We were in Kingston when they took the ball and marched down the field like that. Before the hot dogs on the grill were even ready, they were already in the end zone. So why are we going forward on fourth down at the 50-yard line? Just punt the ball and try to give the Green Wave offense a long field. Chris Andrews, big shout out to him. Protect the ball, managed everything, didn't make mistakes, and did exactly what he needed to do to get the win. Great job to that guy. Very underrated quarterback, by the way. So instead of that, we're going to throw the ball on fourth down. So it goes back to pass. And then Ty Noble did what Ty Noble does. Big time sack, gets the Green Wave defense off the field. Green Wave take over. Errol James, instant offense. Phew! And all of a sudden, again, before the fans could even sit down, before we could finish even like parking cars and taking the money from whatever, obviously it's a joke, they're already in the end zone. So they get the ball back. Now, mind you, they had the opening kickoff. Great job on the return. Special teams was huge in this game. Their first possession started at midfield. They moved up, and then, of course, penalties and sack and whatever moved them back. The second possession, big time return because of the personal foul on the touchdown celebration. Kicked off from the 20-yard line. Big time return. I think that was Zay's return. Got all the way to the 40-yard line of the Green Wave. So you're starting in plus territory. Cool. Now they drive. They're in the red zone around the, I think, 12-yard line or so. Drive stalls out. They can't convert on fourth down. Obviously, not everybody has a kicker. Green Wave hit some big time extra points, by the way, which could have made the difference in the game, by the way. But nonetheless, they turn the ball over on downs. Golden Lions get the ball. David Miranda comes up with a fumble recovery. Now, all of a sudden, the Golden Lions are at the 10-yard going in, and that's when they got the first score, which they ended up being a 7-6 game at that point. Now, just a small snippet of the game, but kind of a microcosm of what happened later on, which is they were chasing points and chasing field position and not punting the ball. That field position is absolutely huge. And I'm just seeing a lot of offenses just with reckless abandon being like, nah, we're going to go for it here. The hell with the hell with field position. We're just going to go ahead and go for it. And by the way, they had a big time punt, Larry Garcia, who at this point might lead the league in punting average, got a boot off that was really big in flipping the field later on. So again, just my 2 pennies. And then again, the last part that I want to talk about, and then we're going to move on and enjoy our blessed Sunday, was the ending of this game. So Green Wave have the lead. Their offense stalls. They go to punt the ball. They have a mishap with the punt, end up giving the Golden Lions the ball on the 2-yard line. Golden Lions offense comes out. Green Wave defense stops them first down, second down, third down. So now it's fourth down for all the marbles. Now, mind you, the Green Wave defense on the 2-yard line, they end up giving up the score on fourth down. But hey, you know what? Considering the big shift of momentum, especially coming off of a block punt or whatever you want to call it, that was pretty big when it came to defense. Big shout out to the defensive coordinator over at the Green Wave for having those guys ready, because they buckled down in the red zone, and that has been one of the key factors in the Green Wave's success this year, is that defense, especially the defensive line. So they end up getting the score on a crazy scramble round play. Boom, they get the touchdown. Then another crazy scramble play, because we're not running plays anymore. We're just going to run around and try to find an opening. Boom, Rocky gets into the end zone. We're all tied up. At that point, I think I said it a bunch of times on the broadcast. Check it out. They should just kick the ball out of bounds. There's 14 seconds left. They should just kick the ball out of bounds. Did they kick the ball out of bounds? No. They kicked it to Kevin Patt. Kevin Patt ends up getting them into field goal range on his return. Field goal unit comes out. The kick goes up. I think it was Rocket that was actually back deep. He ends up fielding the missed field goal. He runs around on a crazy, like, Auburn, Alabama kick six play, switches field, runs all over the place, damn near scores. Toon ends up making the game-saving tackle, puts the game into overtime. If the game ends right there and the Golden Lions win, I think I have the same energy that I have now, which is, oh man, this is going to be a heck of a rematch. I hope to see this rematch in the championship game. I would really want to see that. Am I going to definitively say that the Golden Lions are better than the Green Wave because they won like this? Probably not. We just can't wait for the championship game. We go to overtime. Was it first or maybe second play in overtime? Golden Lions run this option play. The Doctor can't really get a handle on it. Jose Bieto, big lineman dude, athletic though, scoops, goes 90 yards the opposite way for a walk-off scoop and score in the first round of overtime, which I have never seen in football, ever, by the way. A scoop. I don't think I've ever seen a scoop and score. I've never seen a defensive return actually walk off at the top of, they have like the top of the overtime, bottom of the overtime type of thing, the first possession, second possession. I don't think I've ever seen that. So that's the way it ends. So what am I feeling? I'm feeling that I think that the Green Wave overall were better yesterday, even as freakish as the ending was. Again, it could have gone either way. But the Green Wave played a better game, and they had more players that played up to the level of the show. And I did notice that on that Golden Lions sideline, which they're going to have to fix when they were going through this roller coaster, right? Christian Ramsey had a big game too, by the way. Kadeem Wilson had a big game. They were not going to let Kadeem Wilson in the end zone, but I did get my Bleezy 0.5 touchdown because Ramsey got into the end zone, and he hit the over on his yards as well. Nonetheless, Golden Lions sideline, just a roller coaster thing, man. When y'all scored, way too high. When you guys got scored on, way too low. So we shall see. Those are what these big games are about. So anyway, you said hell and poke it up. All right. And that is pretty much it. So 8-6, 6-6 at that point. Oh, 6-6 at that point. Yes. Yes, it was 6-6 at that point. You were right. But nonetheless, and also overall, if you don't have a field goal kicker, you guys need to have 2-point conversions that are automatic. Work on that in practice. So anyhow, anybody else have questions, concerns, comments? Dun, 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 dun. And that is it. So again, for those that missed, make sure you check out Way Too Early with Pat. and understand that the football gods blessed us on Saturday, and we thank them for all of their the bounty of riches that we got yesterday with the two undefeated teams in the Big East, with the Cardinals Warhawks game, with the Falcons Bulldogs game being such a great game. We're even thankful for the donuts that you gave us in the NEAFL, which essentially just gets us to look forward to next week. And of course, the big time upset of the Crusaders fighting for their lives, starting out with a donut. I think they were 0-4 at one time and pretty much left for dead. And now they are one hurricane loss away from being in the playoffs. And once you get in the playoffs, just as we saw last year when the Crusaders bumped the Wolfpack, anything can happen. So I will go to the rundown on what the seeds would be if the Kings are in. Kings win. I think Kings win. They're the 6th, and if the Kings are the 6th, they play the Wolfpack. It sets up a Dolphins Kingston Lions matchup in the middle. Dolphins and Kingston Lions. I believe the Dolphins have that tiebreaker, so the game would be played at the Dolphins. And then with the Canes losing and the Crusaders being in, Crusaders and Wolfpack rematch of last year's semifinal upset. So we got some football to look forward to. We'll preview some of that. All right, y'all. The winner of the so the highest remain. That's a great question. No, the Green Wave. I'm sorry. Yes, the Golden Lions would take on the highest remaining seed. So if the Wolfpack handle business against the Crusaders, or the if the Wolfpack handle business against the Crusaders or the Hurricanes, the Wolfpack advancing, the Wolfpack would play the Golden Lions. The Dolphins Kingston Lions winner would advance to play the Green Wave. If the Crusaders score the upset over the Wolfpack again, the Crusaders would end up playing the Green Wave, and then the Dolphins Kingston Lions winner would take on the Golden Lions, NFL style with that. That's a great question. Let people talk about it. Absolutely. Crusaders are in with a yes. No. Oh, yes, the Crusaders are in if the Lions win, because there is no way that the Canes can have a negative on points allowed. The Crusaders have less points allowed, and they have finished playing all of their games, and they play the same amount of games, so their points allowed. That is it. Green and gold championship bracket is wrong then. No, it's not really wrong. Okay, yeah, it'll get moved. That's a good point. So it's not. It's the NFL bracket, so it does get moved around because the highest seed advances. I'm sorry, it reseeds. Let me say it that way. There's a reseeding at the next round, so it's not automatic. It's not an automatic bracket, so it's got to be detached or whatever you want to call it. It's set up that way. If you check out an NFL bracket, it's set up the exact same way, with the assumption that the higher seed, the lower seed, no, higher seed. The higher seed advances. The team with the better record, the team with the home field advantage, or what have you, that they are the ones that advance. So that's the assumption made in the bracket. But there are different options based on who wins. Not options, but whatever. Different paths based on who. And that's it. Which leagues would you consider 2A? Oh, thank you. Appreciate you, Noble. What league would I consider 2A and 3A? Okay, great question, Detroit. Smooth. Okay, so here's the thing. Every league, including the Midwest, by the way, I've seen you guys, has really good teams and some trash-ass teams. So when it comes down to it, I think a better opinion. Big shout out to I-95. Bowl series coming soon. It is better to rank the teams 2A and 3A than it is to rank the league 2A, 3A. Because if you have two powerhouse teams that beat the dog shit out of everybody else, and those two teams are the best in the nation, is that a 3A league? No, it's just two 3A teams that are whooping everybody's ass. So, I'll answer the question though. I'm going to go as far to say, just based on numbers, and the AFL is a AAA league. If the Den was a AAA team, AAA league, and the Den lost the Knowles and the Canes, right? Knowles are not playing at all. Got it. That's a huge loss. But when it comes down to it, if you are looking where the players went and the players from last spring and where they played this spring, the talent was just moved into different areas. The talent was moved to different teams. So there's a lot more parity amongst the teams. The distribution of the talent is spread out, and the records will reflect that. However, the same players are playing, so you can't say that all of a sudden it went from 3A to 2A. That doesn't make sense. So, with the exception of, again, a few players, everybody's still playing. So the NEAFL is the only league, if you are in New Jersey, if you're in that side of Pennsylvania, and I believe you got Reading. If you look at the geographic footprint and you have all the teams in that huge geographic footprint, you're 3A. The organizations themselves, beautiful stadiums like the Raptors, games are filmed, top-notch uniforms, facilities and such. Again, some of them play on grass, which I'm not a big fan of, but nice facilities. And by and large, they hold the standard. So I would say that the NEAFL, for those reasons, are AAA. The Big East, I would also say AAA. You do have two top-notch teams that, again, you're not going to something the Green Wave are not a AAA program and AAA players with championships on other teams. So if they were players on the Green Wave that have played on other teams that are AAA teams, and now they're playing on the Green Wave, you can't say the Green Wave is not a AAA team. And organization-wise, the structure of the organization, everything they do organizational-wise fits a 3A mold. Same thing with the Golden Lions. Team that travels to Vegas has the ability to travel up and down the eastern seaboard. The footprint of the Big East being all the way from Massachusetts area, Maine area, all the way down to New York. That's a huge geographic footprint. And it only overlaps with the ECFL a little bit in terms of geographic region. You do have some teams in there that are obviously struggling teams, but even the struggling teams this year are fielding 30, 40 players. So that's why, again, you might not like them, but they're still, they would be AAA. They're, according to standards that are unbiased. Now, again, people hate the Wolfpack and they hate Sean, but just because you hate Sean doesn't make you double A. Doesn't make them double A, I should say. The Wolfpack, been around for 30 years, top-notch organization. They don't forfeit games. They travel all over the place, whether you like where they travel or not. You get your team to Iceland, you get your team to Vegas, you're AAA. Dolphins, top-notch program, top-notch organization, growing program, third year in existence. Absolutely. Kingston Lions, first year in existence, but not new to this. And we've seen in other leagues, great conversation, by the way, and we've seen in other leagues where, hey, what up, Ramsey? We've seen in other leagues where startup teams like the Silverbacks have been default AAA. So if the Silverbacks are default AAA based on the people that are involved in their resumes, why wouldn't the same thing happen with Kingston Lions? Because they come from top-notch pedigree. They have Vermont Storm players. They have guys from the Mountaineers program. The Mountaineers were a big-time program. Crusaders, one of those up-and-coming teams, but solid organization, up-and-coming football team. Because of the reshuffling of Brooklyn and the talent kind of moving over and starting to accept, hey, look, maybe I need to play for the Crusaders because Taiwan has an amazing program, but AAA program. The Hurricanes, startup team last year went through their lumps. Now this year they're doing better. They're on a trajectory going up. And the Canes, top-notch organization, facilities, uniforms, the whole bit. Bengals, the Bengals kind of are one of the ones that kind of go with the flow of who's around them. If the Bengals are around trash teams and trash organizations, they're going to go to that common denominator. If the Bengals are hanging around top-notch organizations, they can fit in. Again, not going to be world beaters, but they're going to fit in. And then the Panthers, well, the Panthers, man, they just didn't have enough players. But they did hold the standard. They didn't have mismatched uniforms. They didn't have some of the raggedness that you've seen in semi-pro during the course of the years, even in recent history. So yeah, AAA. ECFL, different story. I say ECFL, I would say is AA opinion, because you got Falcons, Cardinals, Warhawks, right? And then in the second tier, you got Bulldogs, Ducks. You know what? No, I'm gonna change that. I'm gonna go AAA on that too. You got the problem with this is that it's awkward because Falcons, Warhawks, Cardinals, hands down AAA, right? Bulldogs. The fighting gets me, the bullshit gets me, it really does. But okay, if they could fix that shit, AAA. The Ducks, organizational wise, doesn't do AAA things, especially with the uniforms or what have you. But football wise, have a AAA caliber product. So if that's 5 out of the 8 teams, and the problem is their bottom just never wins games. But one of their better organizations, actually 2 of their better organizations, are really bad football teams. You know, let's keep it real, record-wise. The Chargers and the Bruins, very good organizations, very bad football teams right now. But does that make them not AAA? It's a good question. So I think that's the reason why you have to rate teams individually as AAA or AA. And we also have to get some type of understanding in writing that's standard and agreed upon of what makes you AAA or AA, so it's not people's feelings involved. Yes, indeed. You can come on the show, or we absolutely can, have a discussion, 100%. But yes, indeed, that's my take on it. But who am I? This comment, Mr. Poop. What's his comment? Skip saying some slick shit, I bet you. Yeah. Cool. Remember the same. Absolutely, that'd be awesome. More inclusive, the better. Absolutely. And again, that was part of the debate with the Racine team about who they play. Again, they are dominant, but the word out here in New York was Racine plays in Racine. They don't really move around much, and the geographic footprint that they have might be crazy when it comes to mileage. However, when it comes to population density, they play in an area where it's mostly cow pastures. So when you're looking at New York, well, Big East is New York, Connecticut, basically New York and Connecticut, huge population center. And if you are having that type of a recruitment area, right, and you have an ability to field X amount of teams, and you're one of the teams that absolutely survived, I think you deserve more credit than somebody who's basically in the middle of nowhere that is the default team. And because the players from that default area play good football, you're going to win games. And then you're playing other teams regionally. It's just a different bag altogether. You said with roster size. Yeah, roster size. But then again, and this might be a solution, by the way. This actually might be a solution. Your rating. You can take notes on this. My God, it might be the outfit I'm vibing right now. Imagine for a second that your individual team was given a rating based on their performance from the previous year, like a credit rating. And every time you have a 65-man roster, 53-man roster, depending on your league rules, right? You're able to say, hey, I'm AAA because I have 53 players. I have 65 players. But imagine for a second you had to prove that you were fielding this many players during the course of your season. Maybe, just maybe, if your credit rating was on the line, we wouldn't get games where great teams are not showing up because they think it's a waste of time and they're just saving themselves for the playoffs. Possibly, just saying. Or teams that put 65 men on game day, they have 15 guys out there. Again, I saw a Bullies team that looked absolutely insane. I think having that type of standard where if you say the Bullies, defending champ from last year, end up tapping out of a game this year at halftime, end up making it into the playoffs, and then end up getting a donut in the playoffs, that's really not the best for football. Are these problems like the problems we used to have? Definitely not. Shout out to all teams that were in uniform this year. Shout out to all teams that didn't forfeit this year. We got rid of optional football, for the most part. Any forfeits that happened were basically the death penalty, so to speak. If you forfeited, you were done. You were off the schedule. We weren't going over that again. Again, that's one of just my personal opinion is once you forfeit, you should be off the schedule because that's the number one commitment. Forfeit game, you're done. Oh yeah, so it's a different season for Racing this year. This is what we are hearing, and I have been checking. I got to double check their schedule to see when they're starting to play some of the big boys. When you look at the Northeast, the Boston Density is one of the heaviest in the country. Yes, so it's just not. It's not apples to apples. If you're in Racing and you don't have that many, you're playing teams from population densities that are the size of like one of the boroughs here, maybe like the whole state is the same population as the Bronx. Like, that's a little tough. If you forfeit, you should fold. I agree 100%. Last year we had we had leagues that we had a league that would let you do that, and that league was AAA, by the way. So that's why it gets kind of problematic for me when you have a league that you claim is AAA that are AAA nationally, and a lot of these things are the good old boy network. It's about who you know and where the team owner is also in charge of the league, is also in charge of the rankings and such, how that gets kind of hinky with the behaviors of those teams. I know. So I've been blessed this year because I'm retired and I'm not affiliated with any of the teams. So everybody seems to think that I have it out for their teams, like the Green Wave, like really thought that I was like had something against their team or whatever. And a lot of the players I've coached before, they're all from the same area and such. But being that I'm not affiliated with the team, I have a better ability, in my opinion, to be unbiased and to take the information that's in front of me and say, hey, look, this is the set of standards. This is what's fair. This is what's not fair. And then, keep it pushing from there. So, and it's been more fun. It's been fun. I mean, I'd be saying because I'm dressed in the Pope outfit, but it's been fun this year. This has been one of the more enjoyable seasons. And that's pretty much it. Any other comments before I get out of here? I should have a cigar and have the for the white smoke, but I'm out of cigars. That's a tragedy. That's it. All right, y'all. Patterson out.